Caribbean Edge. We are actually live for our single dating fishbowl episode. So we welcome all of our guests to the show today. And first of all, we want to say happy Veterans Day and blessed and thankful for all the vets as we honor them on this special day. But first of all, we honor you every single day. So thank you for your service to our country. Thank you very much. And tonight I am excited because I have a bunch of single dating people on the Caribbean Edge, and they have no idea what questions I have in store for them. Or the viewers are also welcome to post questions to either individuals or to the panel, but none of them have a ring on their finger. So as far as I'm concerned, they're single. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, declare their relationship status, and tell you anything they want about themselves, including where they're from. So welcome, Karl. We'll start with you.
I had a feeling I'd start first. Thanks a lot, Dawn. I'm the first on the screen. So I'm Karl, and I am currently dating and involved, but I know the dating world very well, and I enjoy it. I'm originally from Jamaica. I live in Florida, and I love your show. I love your show, Dawn.
Thank you. I am glad you love my show because I love my show too. And I love all my guests. We have so much fun on the show. And this is your second time on the show. So thank you.
It is.
And good luck to the person that's dating you. And good luck to you as well. I'm sure you keep on laughing. So, Madam President, tell us about you, where you're from, and what's your relationship status?
Awesome. I am I'm Madam President with a Z, and I am from Chicago, born and raised, but I live in Atlanta, and I am fully, completely single after I actually went through a breakup about a year. So I am, going through my healing process and happily single. And thank you for having me. It's just to end on a high note. Thank you for having me on the Caribbean Edge. I'm glad to be a part of this love.
Okay, so single for a year. Sorry about the breakup. Those are always difficult. If it's mutual decision, it's a little easier, of course. So, never an easy situation because it's time invested with someone that you thought would end up long-term or in a commitment of marriage. So welcome, and we're glad you're here because you never know who's watching and may say, oh, let me reach out to Madame President. Woo-hoo. So Patrick, let's switch over to you. Second time on the Caribbean Edge. Tell us about your status, where you're from, and anything you want to tell us.
Hello, Dawn. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me. I'm Patrick Coleman, live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am single, very single, enjoying my alone time and learning more about myself, just growing and enjoying this moment, I'm also from Jamaica, but I've been living in America for more than half my life. And I thought I would have been married by now, but hey, I'm here.
Me too. I thought you would be too.
Hey, Karl, it's my turn, man. You're not Donald Trump, are you? So that's me, yeah.
Well, welcome again to the show. And to some degree, I want to say congratulations on being single, because I think single life can be really, really good because it's so much better than being stuck in a relationship with somebody that you don't even want to go home to. So I have enough respect for single people because I think it's a fabulous thing. You do what you want, but there are times also you get lonely, you want to settle down with someone. So congrats to single life as well. How about you, Howard?
Well, I am Howard Levy. Born in Jamaica, raised in Florida. First time here. Thanks for inviting me. And have I missed anything?
Why are you acting shy?
Oh yeah, I'm dating. Uh, yeah, been in a long, long relationship from high school, and you know how that goes. So
Okay.
yeah, but I'm dating because can't be like you know, can't stay single and just can't mingle, you know. You gotta try to go out there and try and find that 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 niche, you know, and work with it.
Let's go to
Okay.
Charlene.
And Charlene, how are you doing? Welcome back again. Charlene's been on the Caribbean Edge before, and her daughter also joined us on the Caribbean Edge Kids, which is our baby to the Caribbean Edge show. So glad to have you again.
Thank you for having me. Well, I'm Charlene Granston, and I am happily taken. I've been in a courtship for over a year now, and it's going very well. It's very solid, and I'm just here to discuss, the relationship woes and when I used to be single and how that journey was. And cheers to you, Dawn, for having us all on tonight. Looking forward to
Thank
it.
you.
Mhm.
Cheers. I'm going to cheers with my wine glass, which is bigger than your wine glass.
All right, Patrick, you tell
Okay.
me.
So we're going to go with Carl first, and I have no idea what question's going to pop out.
Uh-oh.
This is a good one. When is a woman most beautiful to you?
Most beautiful. I think there's a toss-up. I think women are very beautiful when they are most vulnerable. I think that's beautiful. But I also think pregnant women are beautiful. All the raging hormones, that energy. Once in a while, a little morning sickness, but I think they're amazingly beautiful when they're pregnant as well. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
Very nice. I think all the pregnant women are falling in love with you right now. Okay, so we're going to go to Madam President. If wedding or the engagement ends, should the ring be returned and why?
Yes, return the ring. If you do not want the person, you cannot keep the material thing. It don't work like that. You don't want the person, return the ring. Have some dignity and some respect. Return the ring. That's how I feel about it.
Okay. Return the ring. So the value, nothing matters, because I know some women are probably saying, well, I invested all this time, this ring belongs to me, and I'm going to sell it for something.
Right.
Return the ring. Madam President says, return the ring. Final answer.
Here. Return the ring.
Okay, thank you. We're going to switch to Patrick. See what question Patrick gets from the glass bowl. So, in general, Patrick, do you like to be in control day to day and in the bedroom?
I like that question because I realize that I enjoy allowing others to just be who they are while I am being aware of myself relating to them being who they are. So basically, the point I'm making is I enjoy a woman when she's just being just who she is. I don't want to control her because I don't want to be controlled. You know, I see so many times individuals, they think they have to call their girl all the time or their woman all the time. That's a form of control that she is having on you because she's knowing where you are all the time. And that's a control that you're having on her. I don't subscribe to that. I'm into freedom. I'm into being alone. I want to feel alone with my woman. I don't want to feel like I have to control her. As far as being in the bedroom, that's a different story. I don't mind having some control in the bedroom. I think to some extent, I enjoy being in control some. And, you know, she'll have her turn too.
Does any of the other panel members would like to add to that, or?
Yeah, I can probably add to that. I agree with him to allow a woman to be herself, and so that you can also be yourself. And I think when both parties can be themselves, it's easier to have others around, friends around, and you can be able to move around without wonder what she's doing or what you're doing. It doesn't really matter because you're yourself. And then you have someone to enjoy the night with or the end of the day with, knowing that everyone's their self, I should say. So yeah, I mean, and as well as the bedroom, after she's pleased, then yeah, I give her full control. Or I should say after I please her, then I give her the control to wear herself out.
Okay. All right. So we've heard it from Howard. Anyone else on that?
Some women want men to control them, right? I think a lot of people understand that, both in the bedroom and outside the bedroom. Some people think real men control their women. I'm not saying I'm subscribing to that. Why so laughing? But I believe that, you know, in certainly in the bedroom, and I think there are a lot of Jamaicans on this panel, and because of that, we have learned to, you know, we grew up with that mindset where you have to be a man in the bedroom and so forth. And I think that actually transitions to daily life. I don't think it's necessary. I think that, you know, certainly in the bedroom, sometimes being aggressive is special, and it allows you to engage, and it allows you to find that animal inside you, and that's important, especially on the male side. I'm sure Dawn would agree.
So Howard, I saw you shaking your head. Do you have something to say to Carl's point?
Yeah, I mean, boy, I mean, today's generation is different, man. They're very aggressive. But I mean, the way I grew up, like we grew up Jamaican, you know, like for instance, I use Charlene as an example. We grew up together. You know, everyone goes to church. We have that spiritual background, and it shifts you a different way and then you have the Jamaican parents, which is very strict. So they are in control of your whereabouts, because you know 6 o'clock come, you better not be outside. You know that kind of control. So it teaches us to grow up with a responsibility, time, and promptness is very important. So even though they raise us at their best, we also learn how to adjust towards our kids and teach them the way that we thought we were supposed to be taught to make us better. So, but these generation children, they're a lot different. So, I mean, I'm talking about with everything, love, relationships, they're just different. You know, like for instance, Don, like when we were growing up, what's the American dream? You date, you get married at a particular age. What was your age to get married? And you was in a rush to move out, like we was in a rush to grow up. Now we wish we can go backwards, don't it? Because parents never told you that reality was not real.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not into controlling. That's one thing I don't do, because my mindset is not good to be controlled. So
Yeah.
I don't want to control anyone. I say everyone's. I mean, you have to have what's the word I'm looking for? You have to have a common ground, and you both have to be on the same page. And you have to learn the other person and understand the other person and learn what makes that person's love language glow or open up to that person. That way, it's easier to relate to that person, you know. And I think it makes it easier to just be in a relationship without realizing it's a relationship. You know, it's a partnership that more or less grow into a relationship. Like Charlene, she's getting married, so therefore now she's in a relationship. Right, Charlene?
Correct, right.
You're too quiet.
You know, Don,
Putting her on the
Don, I
yes.
want to add something. Yeah, and I wanna kind of roll behind Howard and say, you know, you're right. You know, you have to have a good relationship. You have to know how to relate to the next person. But I think it's the communication that we have and say, you know, all right, you know, I'm stronger at this point, so you know, I'm gonna take charge. You're stronger at doing this point, you take charge. You know what I'm saying? And that you know how to cooperate with the person as we go along. So it's like communication, cooperation, and relation and relating to each other. I think that's where I am when it comes to like as far as the whole engagement. I want to be able to control, not control, but communicate with my woman on a certain level. And once we can communicate, then you know we can cooperate with each other. And you're right, as Carl said, if you can communicate in the bedroom, like outside.
Okay, I think we're losing some of Patrick.
So I have one thing to piggyback off of what Patrick said. And so I grew up, my father raised me, and I was raised by, my mother had passed when I was very young, when I was 11. And my father raised me, and I was raised by a male machismo. Okay. So I'm very traditional, and I'm used to a man leading. Okay. So as they say, the man is the head, the woman is the neck. You're there to support. And for me, traditionally, that is what I am used to, a man leading and a woman following. And if he needs the support and he asks me questions about, babe, what should I do? Then I will lend my advice at that time. But, you know, I prefer for a man to lead. That's just my personal opinion.
I can piggyback on that if that's okay, Don. All right. You see, the type of woman Charlene is, like I just told you earlier about growing up in a church spiritual foundation, that's very important because you need a woman who understands herself. And you need a woman who knows when to stand up and when to move. Like if for instance, if you take sex away, right? What would you have? Do you have a relationship? Can you talk with me? Can we have fun? Can we move and without it being an issue? So when the however long the sex lasts, so how long can we have a conversation afterwards? And then if you can have a conversation, then you have a future. And then it's like if you can see, I realize women, like most women who grew up in a church or a spiritual background, they tend to know their place in a relationship, and that's the thing. A lot of men don't understand that if you allow a woman to be herself and allow the woman to, you know, be in the house and do what she needs to do, then she'll take care of him. But when you try to control a woman, she may not run off right away, but mentally she's gone. So physically she might be there, but she's giving you a chance because I guess she just her heart is warm from the time you met. You know, we give you the 100 up front. You know, so it's like, all right, so you in a relationship now. You know what your role. I know my role. So after a while, you just tend to either whoever, like Patrick said earlier, that whoever is stronger at something or whatever area, you end up taking that area because you know two bulls can't roll in one house. So someone has to take over the other or submit to the other. And if you communicate and you learn to understand the other person, it makes life a lot easier. And both parties is able to communicate and talk to each other without it being a problem or without the other one getting upset or angry or jealous. it makes it easier for both parties to grow and to move forward and focus on what is important than what rather isn't. As jealousy is not a good thing in any relationship. So, yes, Charlene, I agree with you on that.
So with
And yes, I grew up Adventist, but I just think that people just need to know their and understand their gender roles, because male, female, we have gender roles that, we really should follow by. Okay. Women are known to be the domestic ones, the ones that take care of home, the nurturers. Men are used to, as I know it, men are supposed to be the protectors, you know, for
The
security and
provider.
everything financially. So that's just how I was brought up, how my father raised me. And that's the ideology I still carry through till this day.
I'm really curious what viewers are saying because I am like dying with these roles of men and women playing. Housewives. Oh my gosh, I need a drink. Madam President.
Yeah, I think that I think that a lot of times the like just being from the Caribbean, there's a perspective that's different from being from Chicago, America. And a lot of times I think things took a great shift um, many years ago here when it came to women and what they've been able to not just accomplish, but I mean, women, Angela Davis, who I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you can know who Angela Davis is, but in her book, Women, Race, and Class, she made a very good point when she said that in America, Black women have always put in the same kind of workload as men since the time that Black women were, shipped over here. Black women have been working. So we were working in the fields, and then we were also coming into the slave quarters, working those quarters as well for husbands and children. So we just because we've been women, we've never had the luxury like white women to just say, I'm just going to stay home and bake and not do anything. So being Black and American woman, a lot of times work is just coincide with our just pretty much the existence, whether it's right or wrong. I just feel like it's kind of common for women to work. Beyond gender roles. I mean, gender roles have been kind of manipulated here in this country all the time, so it's like, and I don't have any offense to gender roles and the idea of it, but it's just that I think that most times, I think it's good when you pretty much are like, if you're like Shar, I think when you are in that space and you do have that level of this is what I want in a gender role, I think it could be potentially easier for men to say, well, I want to be in that space where I can provide, where I can love, because we have this down pat. And a lot of times, which also too, we have to deal with the reality when it comes to Black women and income. Black women have made a very high income over Black men in the last few years, and that has become I won't say problem, but it has had an effect on marriage in our communities too. So you got people like I would say Black men and Black women who have a battle with identity since the existence of being on American soil. So when you talk about love, there's a complex with love when it comes to loving in America, loving while Black. And I just believe that we have to just educate ourselves and have, like the brother said, some spiritual ground, some intelligence, so we can really do the work and properly love each other. Because I've heard a woman who's a PhD say, and I thought that she said this much better than I'm saying this, but what she said was, our identity is too rooted in European standards. That's why folks ain't having good relationships. Black folks are mimicking white folk relationship. and we wonder why it ain't working. It's not working because it was never designed for us. You know, I don't know how an African man would treat an African queen. You know, an African king could tell his wife, you know, this is all of our land. We don't have to work. It's working for us, you know, and then that changes all of our personality and how we feel about working and not working and love and our children and, you know, everything. But, you know, I just really feel like, I'm gonna close it out right there. But I just really feel like, you know, when it comes to love and when it comes to gender roles, you know, it's perplexed. It's not black and white.
And,
Well, thank you. A lot of great points by everyone. I want to switch over to the viewers for a little bit. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I don't think we've had this many comments this early in the show. So welcome, everyone. Mish McLean says, Dawn, yeah, it gets lonely. David Muir says, Dawn Wilson, what is your status? On the hot seat here, David, I can always leave it to you. But my status, to answer your question, is I am single. And if you watch this show, you know I am very, very single, very, very independent. So to a lot of the points made on this show is I probably grew up like Charlene, you know, with a strong father, you know, leading the household. And I always felt that way growing up, but living here in the USA and being single, a single mom, you find yourself running your own household. So, and having your own income. So to find a real man to stand up and step to that, you know, ownership role or man role, as some of you classified as, it is very challenging, you know, and women say men are intimidated by women that are out there in the workforce and doing their thing, you know. And we talk about control. I certainly don't want to be controlled. I don't need to be controlled. I don't think anyone needs to. So to answer your question, very, very single and loving it. And like Miss says, yes, it does get lonely, but there's options out there for those things as well. Let's see, Mrs. Carr, you better be transparent. Let's see. Pregnancy is beautiful. So Mish agrees with you. David says what's sexy to him or most attractive is when she walks out of the shower. How amazing. There's nothing to take off but the towel. There you go, David. Wow. David was actually invited on the show. So we're going to have to get him on for one of these up close and personal shows. So what if the person doesn't want the ring, then what? So that question comes to the panel. So whoever wants to answer that one. So what if the person doesn't want the ring, then what? So you guys are proposing to a woman and she doesn't want the ring, but you're in love. What do you do? Go ahead, Howard.
Oh, I've been there before. Young, madly in love, you know. I mean, it's not every day you in a movie. So reality is real. So sometimes a person may not feel that you are ready for marriage or ready and just feel with I think Madam President said it like it basically the standard. Date someone in the 2 and 3 years, you're supposed to give an engagement ring, and then after what? How many others you get married? So, I mean, it is what it is, but it doesn't mean you give up. It just means that you just gain understanding and figure out what the situation is or the circumstances. Either fix it or move on.
Yeah.
You know, that's just that.
Absolutely. So Mish is asking if she can see Patrick's eyes. So they want you to take your glasses off so they can see you. Okay. Mish says she loves a guy that is in control in the bedroom. She says, lead me and teach me. Everyone's saying hi, greetings. Love languages are a must. And Wendy says, good answer, Howard. Not sure what part of it. For Michelle Hussein, who a lot of you knew, thank you, Michelle, for putting together most of this cast tonight. Communication is the key, and you have to be each other's best friend. David asked Michelle a question. Have to? Let's see. Okay, so we're going to see what other questions they come up with, but we're going back to the bull. We have lots of questions in here. Let's see. Charlene, how do you feel about a man with a hairy back, armpits, private area?
You know what? If you love that person, it's not going to matter that much. The hairy back thing for me is a little so it's like I would be encouraging in, hey honey, let's go to European Wax Center and get that wax, you know? Keep it manicured. The genitalia area is to each his own, you know, but I'm gonna leave it there. We'll be taking a visit to the European Wax Center.
Let's see.
Please ask me another question.
No answer. We're going to Patrick. Suppose you kiss someone and their false tooth drop out of their mouth into your mouth. What would you do?
Oh,
We're having a lot of rain where I am, and the internet is a little off. So if I'm in and out, please excuse me. Well, I'm a teeth guy. You know, I remember when I was a young man, a teenager, and I met this girl with a couple of friends of mine. And one of the first things I said to the girl is like, man, you have some beautiful teeth. So I pay attention. So if I met a woman and she had false teeth, we're not even gonna go that far. So that's not even a question for me.
You may not know they're false till you fall in love. Okay, so Madam President.
I stand up in it.
Madam President, I think this is your first one from the bull, so my apologies. What is your favorite body part of the opposite sex and why?
I'm thinking my favorite body part of the opposite sex and why. It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah,
I can gladly answer that question.
yeah.
Struggling.
Like really hard.
yeah, it's hard.
The question is hard or the body part is hard?
I think it's just a tough question. You know, typically I just don't objectify men. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I can't. I'm stumbled.
All right, we're gonna go to Charlene so you can think about it. Charlene?
Okay. Lips, arms, and feet in that order.
Okay, any of the guys want to answer that one? Okay, Howard.
Boobs, tits, and butt.
There we go. Anyone else? Any of the guys?
I like butts.
Which cannot lie.
I like legs, and I enjoy a woman with a beautiful back. The silhouette of her back. I enjoy that.
Okay. So the next question is going to be for Karl because he's being too quiet over there.
Yeah,
This one is too easy. When you find someone attractive, what do you do? Like you see a girl and you're interested, what do you do?
So in the past, sometimes in the past, I think I've been very careful about approaching women. And as you mature, as you get older, you realize that you don't want to miss out on opportunities. You don't want to say, hey, 2 hours ago I should have said hi and gotten a number or done something like that. So from my perspective, nowadays, you go straight for it. If you can take 10 no's if you get one yes, right? So you just focus and engage. You only live once.
Okay. So I think we're going back to Madam President. She really didn't give us an answer.
Yeah.
What is love to you?
Ooh, love to me. That's a good question. Love to me is consistency. It's sacrifice. It's sacrifice. So biblically, I think the Bible says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So I always say that who could claim to love you and give you nothing? So like if we have a standard of what love is from our creator who has given us so much, then I think that when we're interacting with each other and it's love, then we're giving each other compassion, we're giving each other understanding where we can, we're giving each other financially where we can, not from a space of you owe me something, but from a space of, I'm just here to make sure you're well. I care about your well-being, So yeah, love is just, it's present, it's not, coming through like the good times and hanging around then, but then when you like having all the bad times, this person is not around. Yeah, that's not a good lover. But love to me is just, it's all those things that are good, and then understanding.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going back to Miss Charlene.
Can I add on to her a little bit?
Absolutely.
So, when it comes to love and my experience, I had to kind of, it took a long time for me because I believe you can't love someone until you love yourself.
Mm.
And I had to learn like exactly what love was. So I deduced it into 4 words and I live by those words. And, Madam President had one of the words, which was compassion. I learned compassion for myself as I went through this journey. I learned to be humble to myself, to be gentle to myself, and to be patient with myself. Those are the 4 words that I try to, associate love or loving to be, because I don't think love should be a noun when it comes to working with someone else. I think it should be a verb. So I think we should be loving each other. I can't say, I love you, and then the next minute, I hit you in the head. So, because that's not loving. So when it comes to love, I think it should be a verb, it should be action, it should be a presence, a continual presence of being loving. And with that, we need to practice these virtues, these compassionate ways, these patient ways, these gentle ways, and these humbling ways. And I think once we reach that space, then, well, for me, it took me this long to understand that loving is those virtuous, characteristics that I wanted to express and extend myself to the next person as I learn it more in myself.
Interesting. And he's very single, viewers, ladies that are watching.
And alone, not lonely.
Yeah, just single. So Charlene, what was the strangest, craziest thing you did with your last partner? Not the current one, the last one.
What was the strangest, craziest thing I did with my last partner? Oh, Lord.
We can give you time to think about it and go to the next person.
Yeah, but I do want to piggyback off of that last fishbowl question. What is love? Love is vulnerability. Okay. And being able to just be vulnerable with that person. I think that is very important. Being very transparent with that person as well. So, yeah, I guess I'll get back to that. Those exes are pretty non-existent at this point. It's about the present and the future for me. So,
good answer. Well done.
Yeah. Next.
I don't think we should let her out on that unless the panel agrees. We should.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's
boy.
gonna think. We'll go to Howard. What are you looking for? Or you can still answer this even though you're in a relationship. What are you looking for in a mate, a partner?
Yeah, even if you're in a relationship, you still have to. I mean, you can't just sit there and just be comfortable. You gotta put in work. But what I'm looking for is just basically, like we said earlier, just being yourself. Having a friend, someone you can roll with, talk to. You know, you don't have to run out the house to go run with your homeboy and go hang out. You can sit there and say, "Yo, what's up? Let's go hang out. Let's go chill out as my friend today," or something like that. You know. But I mean, man, you just want to be able to live and just basically just know your place. That's basically the bottom line. I just want someone who know themselves and love themselves. Once you know someone who love themselves, it's easy to attach yourself to that person because you know who you are. And I think that from what Patrick was saying about love, it's easy to love a person, but it's hard to stay in love with a person. Well, I should say it's hard to stay loving a person if that person does not match up to your well I mean yeah, they don't match up to it has to go parallel. Both person has to agree and both person have to understand each other. And by that, within a certain amount of time, you're supposed to either fall in love with that person and who that person is, or you just move on. But I mean, I just want someone who's gonna be themselves all day, every day, and I don't have to wake up and say, "Who the hell are you?" or like, "Who did I sleep with last night?" You know, no Jacqueline Hyde in the bed. You know, just I want to know who that person is. Like Charlene say, I want a vulnerable person, but just vulnerable with me. Know her place when she's with me, and know her place when she's outside. Go hang out with your friends. I'm good. But when we together,
basically, you're looking for consistency.
there you go. Exactly. Consistency. Show me who you are. That's it.
Can you elaborate a little bit for us on know your place?
Yeah, because if you know yourself, then that is your place. But don't pretend you someone else today and then tomorrow you're another person. Or 6 months down the line, I realize you're not the person that you was giving me.
Okay, so you met their representative initially, right? And then they can't hold to that.
If you like to eat and I take you out, eat. Don't pretend to pick in the food and you go home, your belly is still hungry. Don't do that.
Okay,
So you like a woman that's very assertive, and know who she is. Someone that's very confident. Okay.
A person like you, Charlene, just like you. You're all right. You're an example. There you go.
Well, do you want this question again, Charlene, or give you another one from the bowl?
Give me another one from the bowl.
Okay.
But the only other thing that I have to add to your question to what you asked Howard is, number one, I want a God-fearing person. Okay, because I'm a very spiritual person. I grew up with a strong spiritual foundation, and that man has to love God just like I love God. Okay, so once you have a strong spiritual foundation, that sets the tone, along with other things, having a good family foundation, knowing what kind of family background they come from. That's very important when getting to know someone in the talking and dating stage. But
Yeah.
yeah, consistency as well, absolutely.
Okay, so this one's easy. If date says kiss me and you don't want to kiss them, what do you say to them?
No. Straight up. I mean, you have to be yourself, and I mean, politely, no thank you, but you
Easier
have
for
to be in a
women.
very comfortable, and that's where assertiveness comes into play. If you're an assertive woman or man, then you're going to be like, I'm going to politely decline, uh, and I'm a very respectful person. So if I'm not feeling it and I'm not comfortable, then I'm definitely not going to be forced into doing something I don't want to do.
Thank you.
I
And
think
Mr.
it's easier for
Carr,
women than men. Sorry, go ahead.
so your question is, are you a loyal person? And please elaborate.
This question is for me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I am tremendously loyal. I think sometimes loyal to a fault, and that's where all of us have to be mindful of who we are, because sometimes we fall off that wagon and think that our loyalty needs to extend far beyond where it should be. So I think it's important that we are mindful of who we are and not just be blindly loyal. But I certainly am loyal. But I wanted to touch on the love question, right? I think I think that friendship is number one, the most important part of that loving relationship, as Patrick put it. I think that without having that friendship, I mean, really having a strong friendship, all you're doing is just feeding off each other as opposed to nurturing each other and pushing forward in terms of trying to get to that point where your relationship is strong and you guys have similar goals. I think that's also critical. If you're not equally yoked, what's going to happen is, Howard mentioned this, hey, did you meet their representative, or did 6 months pass and they grew up, they changed their mindset, they looked at life differently, and people change. And if you're involved with someone for 5 years, they may have a different path, they may have a different career, they may have a different view of where they want to live. People change. And if you, from day one, I think there's a fundamental issue with relationships. People don't plan relationships. What they do is you have to fall in love, right? You're going to meet someone at the club, you're going to meet someone somewhere else, and you're going to think, hey, this is going to work out because I met them. And we also believe that meeting someone randomly is true love. Like all of a sudden, someone just said, hey, this relationship occurred naturally and therefore it will work. It won't just work. Most people date people in their locale. It's because we covet things that we see every day. So that lady that we go to the gym with, that we see at the gym, we're going to be attracted to her and get her number, and we're going to date her because she's in our locale. And I think it's important that we have a more guided view of relationships. I think this falling in love thing is not something that we should focus on. I think we should focus on what do we really want to do with our lives, whether or not this person fits in our lives, can we also support them? So there's a symbiotic relationship that we need to have for relationships to work. And I think that we have and I think also the younger generation, they have a very clouded view of what a relationship should be. It's not that night on that white horse riding in to rescue you. You have to dig deeper. It's not that beautiful guy with a great jawline. There's way more than just that. So I'm just thinking that love is friendship and hard work. That's it from my perspective. It's, the sex can be great, but there's more to it.
Okay, so let's go to some of the viewers. Okay, so Marlene says, do you believe in a long distance relationship? How about you, Madam President?
I do if it's basically a couple. I don't believe in starting a long distance relationship, but say for instance, I work in TV and film, and I took a job in Los Angeles, and my partner at the time, I guess, pretended that it was okay. But, you know, I was like, the thing was, you know, it happens a lot where you work may take you a distance, but if basically I would just, it's about the personality. Some people can handle a long distance relationship, some people cannot. I think you know, if you have trust issues with people, you just really don't trust yourself and other people, long distance is not for you, because it's going to be a headache, even just like you always worrying about what's going on with another person. It's I'm gonna say this. I heard a pastor say this. Love and commitment is for grown people. Like you got to grow up. You got to be real. So if you want a long distance anything, I think it's okay, but the question is, can you handle it? And it's going to be a personal thing for everybody.
Thank you for that. So David Muir keeps putting Don Wilson in the hot seat. So he says, Don Wilson, what is it you want most from a relationship? Are you seeking permanency? Why are you not there in the relationship you seek? I am not supposed to be in the hot seat, but I will answer you, David Muir. What is it I want? It's probably a lot of what everyone has said tonight. It's just commitment. It's love. It's someone respecting you. I love my personal space a lot. Most of you that watch this show or know me, I play volleyball just like a lot of guys play basketball or have a sports or they go to the gym. I think it's very important for someone to allow you your personal space. I work hard. I've never had a man that supports me. So that's very different than a lot of people. So it's just someone that's strong. I think the reason that I haven't probably found that is I have a hectic work schedule. I tend to be in the same circles. I've not met many people that spark my interest because I do have to be attracted to someone physically. And I've said this on the show, which is not to really offend people, but I think as women, and we take care of ourselves, we take care of our hair, we take care of our bodies, we care about the clothes we wear. And then I find that a lot of guys don't take pride in those things. So they become less attractive, like, you know, a man with a big beer belly or, you know, so there's this, it narrows down the pool. I won't date smokers. It's not like I have this laundry list, but it's what I'm attracted to. If you take care of yourself, you're going to want someone that takes care of themselves, just like a lot of people do. So, and everyone has their personal preferences. I just haven't met someone I think mentally is very critical for me. I have to have someone that has strong communication skills, that's doing something like, so a lot of what everyone's talking about on the show, but it's not about me, David. So I hope I answered your question. And Paula Haas, thanks for tuning in, said, well said, Patrick. Wendy says she agrees with Shar, vulnerability, transparency equal love. And Marlene says, must love yourself first. And I'm a strong believer in that. And Patrick said that, is that we have to find the time to love ourselves in order to be in a relationship where we can give back to each other as well. And Mrs. Dr. Coleman says consistency and chemistry. There you go, chemistry. Love that one. So getting out the hot seat and putting the panel in the hot seat still. Who is missing a question? I think Charlene is. Well, I can't ask, well, why? I'll ask you this. Why are you single? Meaning, why don't you have a ring on your finger yet? Charlene?
Oh boy. Why am I single? I mean, I'm currently in a relationship, so it's going pretty progressive and it will lead to engagement eventually. Why I'm not married yet? Because I mean, it just hasn't happened yet. Simple as that.
Go. Anybody
and,
wants to answer?
I think that, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just waiting on the Lord. And hopefully this is the person that the Lord has decided that I should be with long term. So yeah.
Oh.
Well,
But I did want to add one more thing though. Emotional intelligence is very important
mhm.
for two adults to have, and a lot of times a lot of people lack that. And assertiveness, going back to assertiveness, is very important for a person to be assertive, but someone that we all go through child traumas in life, through our adolescent years. And it's very important that we rehabilitate ourselves and release those burdens and try to recover from those traumas before we enter another relationship. So, and that has to deal with, building emotional intelligence as well. So something else I wanted to add.
Thank you. Madam President, you wanted to say something?
Well, I was just going to say that it's a tough question because it's like you can do everything perfect or right, but marriage is something that requires another party. So like, so it's not really fair to have like these standards of like, why aren't you married yet? When, you can only control yourself. You can't control the other person. So it's like, sometimes I feel like we put a lot of weight on the marriage, but we don't put a lot of weight on the character of the marriage, the couple. So it's like I'd rather, get married and stay married than just get married. So I'd rather take as long of a time that it is needed for this thing, for two people can be whole and really want to do it and not just say, let's just do it. I really want to make a mature decision about something like that.
Yep. Thank you for that. So Charlene, David has switched gears from me to you. He says, would you ask him to marry you if you know you're ready? Thus, are you ready to commit? Will you ask?
If I'm ready, will I ask a man to propose to me?
No,
absolutely.
You propose to the man.
Absolutely not. No. I'm very old-fashioned. No. Mm-mm. No, men are natural hunters. Okay, they should lead the way. And I mean, as women, yes, it's good to be aggressive and stuff like that, and just lay down your standards for a man. But for me, no. I will not propose to a man at all. No.
I'm old-fashioned that way too.
Yeah. I'm not on that.
That's one thing the man has to take charge in.
Yeah. To each his own. But I'm just that's no.
But Charlene, will you put a little pressure on him? Have him sleep on the couch a few times a night to make sure that you get that ring?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm in a relationship for 5-6 years, absolutely, yeah. That's where, I mean, we as females, we can't be too laid back. We have to be somewhat aggressive, not too forceful, but we have to lay down our standards, absolutely. But yeah, he will definitely verbally know that I'm ready. But yeah, I'm not proposing to a man.
Whip him into shape.
And if he is, and after a while, if he's not going to do it, then you know what? Maybe I'm not the one for him, and I just have to get to that self-realization that I need to keep it moving and move on. And maybe the next guy, within 6 months, I meet him and he's ready to get married. Then voila, But I'm not proposing to a man.
I have a question. I got something to ask. Let me ask you something. Don?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. I personally think that if you were to get married, I think it's a communication. I think it's both parties have to agree, because if you really look into it, marriage is basically a business or a partnership that you are agreeing to enter to with whatever restriction, whatever you agree to. You have to commit to that and be consistent with that. And I realize a lot of people jump in, like some people could be married for 20 years. I mean, be together for 20 years, and then they get married, and suddenly the woman either thinks that I have full control, or the male thinks, yeah, I got control of you now. Go wash this dishes, go do this. Everything changes because I personally think that both parties need, in order to get to that level, I think what Charlene says, Patrick, that everyone has already said it. It's basically a consistency. You have to love yourself, self-love. You have to know who you are, what you want. The person has to motivate you. You have to subtract the sex, and then once you subtract sex from it, can you relate to that person? Is this person for you? So when you meet someone, you have that little time period to where that person will show you who that person is. And sometimes a lot of, I'm not saying it's a female thing, but a lot of female think that they can change a man. You can't change anyone but yourself. So if you realize that something's not working, I just personally feel like you just need to just be straight up front and stop that pity party and stop feeling sorry for someone and just either move on, become friends, and just stop wasting each other's time. But I don't think you're supposed to force someone or hint to someone about marriage. Once you fall in love and you open up to that person, and like Charlene said about being vulnerable, that's the key and the pathway to falling in love with someone, to creating a future with that person. Until you become vulnerable, you're never gonna get to that point. Like jealousy, um, envy, all those things do not mix in falling in love. So if you know someone has those tendencies, then you know you have no chance. So my personal opinion is you just have to have a partnership, an understanding, and a communication and a commitment. And if you have that and you know you can go forward, hey, just like a letter, you say, dear whoever, you write the body, and then you sincerely sign it, and then you seal. And that's it.
I agree with everything except you said subtract the sex. I think you should include the sex.
No, what I'm saying, no, what I'm saying is,
good sex. Come on.
No, what I'm saying is, we all know the sex is gonna be there, but if you take that away, you need to be able to communicate with someone. The sex is just the fun part. You want to know you can relate to that person, because she lock you out the bedroom. What you gonna do?
Yeah,
I totally agree.
Everything, but you can't discard the sex because not everyone gives good sex. So you have to have the person that can satisfy you, and you're satisfying them as well. If not, you're going to be bored in 6 months.
So is the sex first then? Sorry. Is the sex then first for Dawn?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this point of subtracting the sex to put it back in there.
John, I do have a question for you though, right? Let me put you on the hot seat. All right. You know, for a man to be able to please a woman, first of all, she has to allow him inside mentally. And if it doesn't matter, if you cannot mentally open up to that person, you will never be pleased unless you're self-pleasing yourself. So when it comes to sex, it's the easiest thing. You stimulate the woman, and it's easy for you, or easy for her to allow you to please you, because it doesn't take much. I mean, a lot of men think, yeah, you can, yeah, I'm gonna beat this, but you really can't beat that because there's no end beating to it. But you can stimulate the woman to the point where you can put her to sleep, but you have to understand who she is and how to get to her and how to stimulate her. But it starts with the woman. So if a woman don't let the man in, it's over with.
Yeah, and I could never let someone in unless I'm mentally stimulated and emotionally stimulated. I've never had a one night stand. I never will, because it's just not my forte. So yeah, everything else is just so important to me to get to the point of having someone, touch my body. I'm moving on to the glass bowl and safer in here.
I'm going to chime in for 1 second. Yeah. We first touched upon the institution of marriage and the ring and all of that. And what I would like to add to that is, like, I play soccer and I coach soccer. And one thing I tell my kids is, don't worry about the goals. You know, worry about how you play the game. You know, and in life, it's the same thing. Life is the process of the journey, not the goal. So, you know, it's not about the ring and the institution of marriage and that makes life so fulfilling. It's the process in which we are actually enjoying or going through. And everyone has said it, but if we focus on the process, I think that the goal or the ring, oops, the ring will be there. You know, and it will be natural that, you know, you get the ring if the process is going the right way. Just like when you're playing soccer, if you're passing the ball and moving into spaces, eventually, when I say soccer, you know, football, we'll call it a yard, but we are there far. So eventually we're going to reach in that 18-yard box and somebody's going to score if you just play the game the right way, you know, and stop worrying about the ring, the institution. Let's work on the process. Let's enjoy the process. Let's enjoy the journey, you know, and all of that is going to be just a showing, you know. It's going to be.
I agree. Enjoy the
Well,
journey. Uh-oh.
I do have to say one thing. Some men take way too long to get there. They like to lollygag. And in Jamaican terminology, mina depend the lollygagging. Okay, if you're a certain age, and let's say you are 41, 42 years old, you should know what you want from a woman by then. You know, you should have your standards and you should have your relationship goals. And yes, men like to sometimes take their time. And, you know, yes, there's good, better, best, okay, with men and women, but sometimes men like to drag their feet way too long. And that is where a woman that is very assertive and knows what she wants and she loves her man, she's going to be a little aggressive and she's going to send subliminal messages. I mean, these are conversations that you guys are going to have throughout the relationship. And sometimes you have to, hey, let's have a conversation. What's going on here? I think that on a quarterly basis, you guys should have a conversation on, okay, where your relationship is, you know, and okay, what's the next goal? And those are grown up, mature conversations that you guys should have as you guys continue to progress in your relationship. But sometimes some of you men like to lollygag a bit too much. Well, then guess what? You guys gonna stay there and we're gonna continue and press forward because, you know, as a woman, we have biological clocks and things that we want to continue to, you know, we want to continue to build in our relationships. And I don't understand why some men take way too long. But I do know that being raised by a male, but being raised by my father, I do know that what I've learned is that a man has to be settled within himself first before he can settle down. That I do understand. Okay. And not to give a man an ultimatum or anything like that, but come on now. Sometimes you guys like to take way too long. So yeah.
So what's way too long?
Come on.
All right, Charlene.
7, 8, 9 years? No.
Oh no. I didn't know if it was like 2, 3.
Yeah, I think a good 3, anywhere between 3 to 5 years is an idea is fair enough for a man and a woman to know if they're going to spend the rest of their lives long term with this woman. It should not take you 10 years to figure out. But okay, if you guys started dating in your, you know, when you guys were teenagers and early 20s, okay, I can see you waiting until your late 20s to probably propose. But each situation is different. I've known of couples that have met each other, and within a year they are married and they have successful marriages up till this day, including my sister. My brother-in-law met my sister, and within 1 year to the date that he asked my sister to be his girlfriend, he proposed to her on the next year after that. He knew exactly what he wanted, and I love a man with a plan. Okay, so it's on a case by case basis, but I think ideally, fair enough, 3 years is a solid time to know if you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person. Okay, don't waste that woman's time and don't waste that man's time. If you know that they're not checking, checking all the, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, then keep it moving. Have a self-realization moment and say, you know what? And talk to that person, be open and be like, I'm just not there yet. But I do know that a man has to be settled within himself first before he settles down. So conversations will need to be had.
Okay, so thank you for that. So Dr. Rupert Francis has a question for the men. He says, what do you find off-putting about any female? So what puts you off about a female? What turns you off?
Well, with
How
me,
is laughing, so
with me, attitude. I believe attitude is energy and energy is spirit. So they're all one word to me. They're similar. So when a woman, when her attitude is a little off, meaning she's not really aware or present, that kind of set me off a little bit. Because then I know that, she's not in tune with all the energies that are around her. So attitude is the first thing that can put me off or put me on to a woman.
I don't think, Howard is probably back live, but from my perspective, I think that, and it's not across the board, this is just personal experience. I think some women have a sense of entitlement. And that thought process sometimes, it rubs men the wrong way, when you think that this is what is expected, as opposed to working through the relationship and figuring out where both of you stand. I think there are issues with expecting things based on probably previous relationships, expecting a certain dynamic to just automatically work out. And I think that I think this actually plays back into gender roles. I think that because of those gender roles or perceived gender roles, I think that there are expectations on both sides. And I think we have to change that. And I think that entitlement is certainly something. And I think on the male side, there's also entitlement where, we expect women to cook and clean and take care of the kids and possibly still have a job at the same time. But I've seen that, and I think that is certainly something that, rubs me the wrong way, entitlement.
Howard?
Well, what turns me off? Well, I keep saying it. I don't really I'm at the age where I don't want, huh?
Toenails?
No. No, what turns me off though is when a woman don't know herself. I don't like an insecure woman. I like a woman who's attentive and just know herself. I have a plan. I have a goal. And I have a focus. I don't want to take a step back to try and understand who she is or why you acting like that. I don't want that. I want a woman who is secure with herself, a woman who knows where she's going, how to get there, how to jump on my side and say, all right, this is what we need. Let's go. But all of the other stuff, man, I don't have time for that. But that's what turns me off. Her character got to be right.
Okay, thank you for that. And Dr. Coleman says, be careful of the guy that will put the ring on the finger and keep dragging without final commitment. Good advice from Dr. Coleman, Mr. Patrick's sister.
Oh, so, Dawn, I have one thing for Charlene. Charlene, all right, listen. If you want that man to marry you, you said something. He has to have a certain order within himself before he can let go of himself to give himself to you, right? So why don't you see what that is? Because I'm sure when you first started dating him, I'm sure you say, well, do you want to get married, or did you ever ask him those questions when you was dating him?
Absolutely. That's why you guys have to have these deep conversations about, life goals and seeing where it matches up with your goals. And that's why, being on, equally yoked to a certain point, and having those same common goals is very important. And then you make a decision. So I said that a man usually has to be settled within himself. It's something that I learned from my father. A man has to be settled within himself before he can settle down.
No,
And
it's true.
that's what, I understand. But yeah, I mean, that's why communication is so strong. It's so important in having these conversations on a continuous basis and knowing where you stand. And sometimes, yes, we will love a person so hard, but sometimes they're just not right for us because their life goals don't match up with ours. And then you have to make the hard decision and saying, you know what, I'm just going to keep it moving. So communication is very important.
Thank you. So Madam President says goodbye to all the viewers and the panel. She had a meeting that she had to run to. I do want to go to the glass bowl for TCE and ask everybody one final question from in here before we wrap up. And then y'all can say anything else you want for the end of the night. So let's start with Mr. Karl. Let's see what question we have for him. If your partner is upset and goes to bed hungry, what would you do?
There's so many answers to that question.
Well, answer it then.
Be careful.
The first thing that popped in your head, what was it?
It's not appropriate, so I'm going to pass on that. I'm not doing it. Sometimes you making up is having sex on an empty stomach, right? Because it sometimes the energy is different. And I think that you start with that. You start with connecting with her emotionally, and then possibly some physical connectivity certainly will help to get her past whatever she was focused on before. Certainly apologizing and so forth, but I think going to bed hungry certainly is something really serious. Obviously something went wrong, but I'm sure that we can make up for that with a good night.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, I will be checking the viewer comments in between, and thank you, Amara Levy. She says, where's the part where we find women for these men? Howard needs him a bad gal. I don't know if you know Amara, but that was her comment. So, well, they all know that people are tuning in worldwide to see the show, so you never know. And even if they're dating now, it doesn't mean they'll be dating further on. It depends if it works out. So who knows? Hopefully it does.
Don, can I answer that question?
Yeah,
that you posed to Karl? Okay, 2 words for you. Feed me, or feed him, or feed her. Okay? I mean, that's where being an attentive partner comes into play.
Right.
So,
perspective. See, take tips, Karl.
I'm trying to take tips right now.
If your partner is disturbed or bothered or upset about something, clearly you're going to have the wherewithal to and be considerate and caring enough to want to put that partner's emotions ease at rest before you guys go to bed, because you love that partner. So attentiveness is very important. So yes, I'm going to want to make sure that my man is happy and food and filled and hooked and before he goes to bed. So having that conversation with him, hey, or if you know your partner very well, you just take the initiative and go, fry him some ackee and saltfish and fried dumpling because that's what he likes, or go make her a bowl of cereal because that's what she likes. So attentiveness is very important.
Thank you.
Some advice for the men out there when your women are upset with you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna go to Patrick for his final question. This is more for the woman, so I'm gonna save this one Miss Charlene. Sorry. Patrick, describe what you like about love making.
No, that's a great question because I'm actually growing with that. You know, when I was in my 20s, I didn't even know what lovemaking was. You know, it was just hardcore, and thought I was doing something. I guess I wasn't conditioned right. But in a more mature state of being, I realized as Howard said, learn from the woman, um, open her up, connect with her mentally, stay engaged, and learn, stay present, stay attentive, you know, and as Shar said, give her that attention, and that's where I come from. I call myself a server. I like to to be the person of service, and it's not all about how I am being. Um, it's not just about me anymore. Before it was all about me. I was strong, you know, just wanna get it in. Now it's about the process, enjoying the time that we're spending, communicating, cooperating with her, seeing what she enjoys, and connecting with her as deep as we can, that we are both alone in that space. I'm learning to make that space like a spiritual space, relieving the suffering for myself as well as relieving the suffering for her. Whatever we're going through, we can you know, drop that burden right there and just be in a meditative state. And that's what I love about lovemaking, is that it's a form of meditation for me, a form of clearing my mind and just being fully, when I say fully present, I don't even know how to really, make that word have the gravity that I'm trying to, express, to be as fully engaged in that moment as I possibly can at this stage in my life.
Awesome. For all the single women watching, that was quite deep, romantic. All right. So, Charlene, you have the option to switch this one since it was pulled prior. But would you date a man living with his mom?
Absolutely. Because a lot of young people have their parents that they take care of.
But if he's just living with his mom, to be there.
Okay. Maybe I should pull back and answer that question differently. You know what? It depends on the circumstance.
Right.
If the mother is disabled or sickly, then you're going to have the conversation, and I would hope that a person wouldn't be shallow in their thinking, like, oh well, you need to have your own place. But I'm a very understanding person, so I wouldn't mind. But if he's a mama's boy and he feels like, and if his mother controls every aspect of his life, and every decision making, she has to be in everything, then we got to have a conversation about that. So it just all depends on the situation. But sometimes, is it the mom lives with him? Because it could be that he could live in a household where, they're splitting the bills. It just all depends on the situation. So yeah.
Okay. So we'll go to Howard.
Let me comment on that real quick. All right. I've been in that situation. It depends on if your woman or your wife, she respects you, she has your back, and you are the man and you are the head, and she gives you that strength. I don't have a problem with it. But as Charlene said, if it becomes where it's a control issue, then there's a big problem. It's a no-no. But I mean, I wouldn't see a problem with it outside of that though. But as long as she knows her place and she knows that it's an us, or I should say a we and not an us, then we're good with that. And it's an and like for instance, we have kids. It's a good addition or for the children. It works in for their favor. But if it works in everyone's favor, then it's a beautiful sight.
Okay, so your question, Howard, thank you for that, is do you prefer a strong or a shy personality and why?
Well, I mean, Charlene might know, but I am shy, but I do not put out that radiance that I am. You have to know me to understand that. But for me, um, I rather a strong woman. I rather an independent woman because I'm more attracted to those type of women. Some because for me, like Charlene said it earlier, I'm a provider, I'm a builder, I'm a lover. And Patrick said it too. I'm a doer. I'm the one that's gonna seek your body. I'm gonna make sure you please, but I'm not so good at always getting it back because I'm always giving it. So I think I need an independent woman that can that at some point she'll take control. So give me this what I need because I'm always giving her what she needs. So yeah, I take the independent.
All right, and final question from the bowl for Mr. Karl Russell as well. Let's see. What do you think of women that dress overly sexy?
Okay, that's a really good question. Howard is already laughing. So I have a different perspective now. In the past, I think, and some people may not believe this, but growing up in a church, you looked at life differently, and you thought that having a woman who was demure and understated was important. You thought that meant, that's someone you're going to marry down the road, and she's obviously focused and in control of her path, and there's a certain amount of strength that's attributed to, dressing in a modest fashion. But I think it's about independence. Women should be able to dress any way they like. If you want to wear a really short skirt and a tube top, you should be able to do it, and men should be able to respect you because of that. I think women should dress the way they want to dress, and we should respect them, even if they're in super short skirts, if they're in bikinis, whatever they'd like to wear. They need to live the life they want to live. Men do the same thing. Men go shirtless. No issue there. When you see that six pack, Charlene is not saying, no, put on a shirt. She's like, yeah, that looks good, right? So I think we women should dress the way they like. They should be as sexy as possible. I love watching women I like women. So dress the way they like, enjoy their bodies, show off their bodies if they must. And I'm sure all the men on the panel enjoy that. So I think it's important that you dress the way you like to dress and stay sexy and happy. It's your spirit. It's more important than anything else. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you for that. Do any of the other men want to comment on that question? Go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, I agree with you, Carl. Yeah. Basically, I like a woman who would wear the things that, like when we met, things to keep the relationship going, knowing what to put on and just, just her character alone and just everything added to it makes her even more overly sexy if there's such thing, But for me, it's about her mental. As long as her mental's together, everything is always sexy for me. So, I mean, yeah, Carl, you're right. We all love women, yeah?
Yes, we do.
Can I say something?
Yeah, where you at, Charlie?
From a woman's aspect, listen, it's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. Okay. And I love a woman that exudes confidence. All right. But I also know that, you should wear pretty age appropriate things, like you're a certain age, it's dress a little bit more modest. So that's just my personal opinion. If I'm in my 50s, I'm not going to always be in a tube top and, short showing my butt cheeks. That's where you dress modest comes into play. But I love a confident woman. I love a man that loves a woman dressed and sexy, you know. But if you're in a relationship also, then there should be some type of modesty and, you know, conservatism to that aspect, because you don't want to wear certain things when you're in a relationship or in a marriage that's going to cause too much attention and, you know, will draw the wrong attention, I should say. So
I think you're right there, Charlene. I'm sorry. I don't mean to disagree, because I think that that thought process, and it's wrong. I'm just thinking that thought process, it puts women in a box. And so, you know, if you're 50 and you like to wear a short skirt and a tube top, or you like to play volleyball in short shorts, you should be able to do that. Not like we have anybody on the panel that plays volleyball, but the point is that I think that women, when they're 50, it's the new 40 or the new 30, and they want to enjoy their lives. Their kids are in college or they're finished college, and now they're moving into a different stage of life. They're going on cruise ships, cruises. They're enjoying. So they may dress a little more provocatively because now they're free and they're like, my kid finished college and now I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to date. I'm going to live the life that I want to live. And I think things have changed. And I think that the mindset, it's not incorrect. It's just that I think in the 70s, 80s, maybe early 90s, we had that mindset, and I think things have changed and women have become more independent. Just my
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you as well. To each his own, you know. But I just have another ideology and perspective where that's concerned. So yeah.
Yeah, Charlene. But I just think I agree with what Karl is saying too. You just have to just be confident with yourself. Like I said, your character. So as long as your mentals are intact and you don't feel insecure, like I was saying earlier, as long as a woman knows who she is and she's secure about herself, it doesn't matter what she put on. She's gonna be sexy either way, you know? So just don't, like, this is what a lot of women go wrong at. When they get married, they feel like they need to stop being sexy. They need to stop dressing. They need to stop doing. No, a relationship, a marriage, it's a lot of damn work. And you better put in some work, or there'll be days where you don't feel like getting up and doing anything. You have to do it, because guess what? What if he does it to you? You want to make sure that he does what he needs to do as well, with no excuse. Because once you start finding one excuse, you're going to get 2 and 3 and 4. So just always look beautiful and pretty. You know, don't ever give that up, because that's what makes you who you are. And you know, I know you from when you was little. So you know, you grow into a good young woman, and you're spiritual. And trust me, you way above and beyond. I'm proud of you, though. I like that, though. You know, so keep up the good.
Aww, Howie.
I'm going to give another woman's perspective on this too. And I agree with the guys. I think it's very hot for women in their 40s and 50s, the rock a crop top. And, you know, if you got the body, wear it. To some extent, I'm not going to say you're going to wear a crop top and a volleyball shorts or a pom-pom shorts in your 50s. Because most people's body can't accommodate it, you know. But I think there's something to be said, you know, like the guys mentioned, you know, Karl said, the new, you know, women in their 50s, you can't tell, you know, they look like they're 40, they look like they're 30, because people are taking so much care of themselves health-wise. And I think that when you invest in yourself and you can do that, hey, I'm not changing what I wear for no man. If you met me this way, I'm going to be this way because that's how you met me. And I think you should be confident in yourself as a man to walk next to me and make sure you're taking care of yourself as well. So, you know, that's one of my advice to women, you know, and it works. It works for those strong women that are taking care of themselves. So, Patrick, any final thoughts?
You know, I really appreciate being a part of this whole panel. It's one of the most fun I've had. It's really natural, connected with all of the, you know, my fellow brothers and sisters here. And, you know, I might be the worst person to tell people how to be in a relationship, because you know, I'm not in a relationship myself, and I've been, you know, striving to be in a good one. I do believe that, you know, me having a good relationship will elevate me in every single way, elevate my business, elevate my well-being, and, you know, keep me focused, because I am becoming so much more in tune with all the energies that are around me, you know, and as I'm becoming more in tune with the energy, I want to kind of be in a more singular relationship, because smell and taste and touch is so much more important to me than ever. So, you know, I'm becoming so much more, as I say, in tune with myself and my environment. And, you know, I learned so much tonight from, you know, all of you, and all the answers and questions, and, you know, kind of make some of the chatter in my mind a little easier to resolve some of the conflicts that I've had. And, you know, we touch upon every single base, I thought, tonight, from trauma, you know, that we've had in life to, you know, being in a relationship and everything. So, I mean, this was a great program, and I enjoy just being a part of it, just listening and being able to express myself on this platform. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, Howard?
Well, Patrick, all I can tell you, my brother, is this: stop looking back, go forward, put out 100, and just make sure whenever you're ready to fall in love, like Charlene says, you got to be vulnerable, man. But don't be afraid, man. Love is a good thing, man. But being in love is even more vulnerable. So just try it, man. Don't grow old all by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Miss Charlene?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that self-authenticity is very important at the end of the day. And being true to yourself first and loving yourself is very, very important. That's the number one most important thing as an individual. And once you love yourself and you know who you are and you remain authentic, then you will find that partner that loves and appreciates that, you know? And it goes with how you dress and how, you know, you see your outlook in life is, and everything. So I thank you, Dawn, for inviting me to this forum. I've definitely learned a lot of pointers that I will reflect on in my own personal relationship. And I wish you guys all the best. I hope that all of you guys in 2021 find very fruitful and, you know, bountiful and happy relationships that are healthy and functional. That's very important. That's very important, and spiritual as well. So I wish you guys all the best in the years to come.
Thank you. And you too. Karl?
I think this was a great panel. I think that love is about energy. And I think that, you know, focusing on yourself, self-reflection, and definitely focusing on being mindful of who we are is super important, regardless of whether you're single or you're involved, or you're married, whatever the relationship you're in. I hope that, I think it was Patrick that mentioned meditation through sex. And I think we all should meditate. Meditation is really important so that we can clear our heads. And that helps us in everything, business, love, the whole 9 yards. I think this is a great show. The Caribbean Edge is an amazing show. Thank you again, Dawn, for inviting me on. I appreciate you.
You're so welcome. And for all the viewers that tuned in tonight, we so appreciate you. And you can tune in again next Wednesday to see what we have for you. And we have to have a part 2 of this show. It was phenomenal. And I appreciate all of you for being so vulnerable and playing the game with us tonight. It's really, even though it was a fun game, we also learned so much about each other and shared advice, and especially from our viewers. So thanks for tuning into the Caribbean Edge. We'll see you next week. One love. Have a great night.
Bye.